Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
What is Path of the Pale Rider anyway? Is it a comic book? No, that's not it. Is it this? What the heck is Path of the Pale Rider, man? There's no way this is right. How about this? I have no idea.
We don't rob a bank.
Oh, it's this.
No, just wanted to give you all a heads up that right now you can add the Madness Network to your Roku account right there. MyRoku.com account, add from to check out our preview. We got 10 of our highlighted shows up there for you to check out. Some of our best stuff from the last 4 years. Look, it's hard to pick 10 out of 2,600 videos, but we did it. And check it out. The campaign is launching soon, so be there. Peace.
The Madness Comic Network and Comic Related Madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
I just have to laugh. John Westhoff, man, always busting my chops here on the show. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. I am your hostess with the hottest coffee around, Laurie Calcaterra, writer, creator of Path of the Pale Rider. Hey, Happy New Year to everybody. I'm so excited for 2024. I know we all have our goals set. And I have my goals too, and I'm really excited. We are so close to finishing out Path of the Pale Rider issue number 4. And oh, this one is a doozy. I'm just telling you. I keep saying this every week. There's so much great art in this, but it's all spoilers. So I can't share anything. I'm trying to find a little corner that might be interesting on a panel that Marco drew, this amazing panel. And I'm giving you this much because I'm oh, look, this doesn't spoil anything. But talk about a great ending to Act 1. This is going to wrap up Act 1. And then we're going to be heading into that trade paperback next. I'm so excited. So that's kind of where we are. The merch is piling up. I need some ads from some people. But did you guys see the new Funko? Did you guys see it? It's Callie St. Clair. Let's see if I can. Kind of, sort of. Nope, it's not going to. It's going to green screen it. Look, she did. It's the very first human zombie Funko Pop. It won't be the last, just the first. So I was really excited to get her in the collection. Yeah. And as you all know, no fan of Funko Pops? Aw, but they're so cool. And mine are custom made because they're my characters. So you want the paperback. It's coming. It's coming this year. It'll be our next project. In fact, I'm building the Kickstarter page now, so that as soon as we're done with issue 4, we're going to start formatting that and get it ordered. Speaking of trade paperbacks, my co-host did one recently, and she's kicking butt and taking names. I know I'm not going to play the whole video, but I made this video for my good friend Carissa. I just love when she's on the show, and I had her 12 times. She's been on 12 times. There's reigning guest with the most appearances. So now we're going to have some fun. Let's bring in our guest, Carissa Grant, too. Well, hello.
Hello.
Anyway, the lady of the hour, of course, is Carissa Grant. Hi, good morning.
Hi.
How are you? Waving hand. Carissa, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
You said that while you weren't looking at camera, so I think it's not true. When you're like, for those of you who aren't familiar with Carissa Grant, I don't know, what is this, your 4th time, 5th time on the show? 6th time, 12th time? Carissa, hello, good morning.
Hi.
I'm gonna bring her on. Carissa. Hi. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Friend and co-host today. Surprised you are listed as co-host today. Carissa Grant. Hi, Betsy. How are you? Good morning.
Woo. I'm good. I'm ready for my campaign to end. Every single time you said it's Carissa, I was like, am I on? And it's not. It's the video. So I'm like,
But
I'm
I
gonna stand
don't
here.
know if you noticed, but every time I bring you on, I'm like, Carissa.
Yeah.
Hello. How are you? And it's the same every time. I was like, I didn't realize I was like,
that's why I was
repeating
like,
that.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, every time you said it, I would look up and I'm like, not yet.
Carissa montage.
Yes.
It's gonna be like 24 minutes by the time we're done with it. Oh, thanks, Charles. I saw the heck out of the floppies. Yeah, trade on the shelf. We're working on that. In fact, Carissa, you just did yours at the end of 2023, right?
I did my hardcover.
Yep. See it?
And I talked her into a hardcover. You're all welcome. So.
Yeah, because I was thinking of doing like a soft cover for the trade, and Chris was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, and she was like, "No." She's like, "There's no reason to do a soft cover," and I was like, "No, noted." So we'll be doing a hardcover as well, but it's beautiful, and I appreciate Carissa because when we first met, she was starting out, and she has like surpassed me in growth and number of issues. She just keeps going. Really?
More
Charles
debt.
says soft covers sell better at the store.
What? I did a poll with 10,000 people, and every single freaking person was like, well, not 10,000 voted, but there was like a couple 100 people, and not one person would choose soft cover. Wait, are they choosing soft cover though because it's cheaper? She could sell it for the same price as the soft cover. So
hardcover, soft cover, fighting with DC about this price points.
Yeah, it's price point. Yeah, but she could sell the soft cover for the hardcover for around the soft cover. So that was the thing. Yeah, of course, soft cover sells more if there's cheaper. But everyone said if the price point was the same or around the same, they would get hardcover. Nobody chose soft cover over hardcover.
It's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to dig into that more.
Charles is saying price points. So yeah.
But what if the price point was the same.
Yeah. You told me is pretty much what a soft cover is. So yeah, you should stick with that.
Oh, but then I have to double my print order.
You need 500? No, you don't. No, just
hey, Weepa, everybody's here. Good morning, y'all. Happy 2024. It's going to be an amazing year. I'm super excited for 2024. You know what I mean? Like 2022 was the first time we published Path of the Pale Rider. So like 2023 was our first full year doing projects. And I got to say, like, huge growth. So I cannot wait for 2024 where we just continue to grow. And most creators are there, that way too. I got to have a shout out for Charter Comics. They're moving and shaking. Shout out to ASAP Imagination. They're moving and shaking. Everybody's just, really growing and moving this year. Speaking of Charter Comics, I'm Charter Comics. You're Charter Comics. But so is our guest, right? Let's bring him in. It's our good friend, Rick Duree. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, doing well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes. We are having a Charter Comics powwow today.
Sure.
The three of us together. Absolutely.
I was watching Melissa's entry, and she's holding a plushie in every one of her videos.
Every single.
They're my emotional support plushies. Yeah. They keep me from fidgeting. Oh, I still fidget, but they keep me from somewhat.
Yay!
Yeah. So
you guys have a
Thank you,
lot of
comics
commenters
creators.
too. The crowd is full in the chat. We need a
that's
chat
because
moderator.
Laurie show rules.
Rick, you are sandwiched between two women. How does it feel? Devil's
It's pretty
air.
normal for me.
He's like, this is normal. Hey, good morning, Doc. Yay. We love you too.
I like that, Laurie, you wear your hat as well. That's very cool.
Yeah, man. Gotta have some
I want
kind
to
of
wear my
branding, right?
hat, but I look like a McDonald's worker. So the head was not a good choice for me. But yeah.
Let's see it though. I want to see it. You have it with your merch?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it there?
I have so much merch. Yeah, I have it somewhere.
Dude, we should make some kind of like Anubis ears on a headband.
Well, I was going to get Anubis. I was going to get Anubis on as embroidered on the new hats, but they wanted a huge amount of money, so I'm going to find somebody else.
She really does. She really does live in merch.
I do. I have them
Are you talking to me?
literally here next to me. Like,
I love the chatty, the new chatty. The salamander is cool too, but the chatty turned out so cute.
He's so
chatty.
I told you that he has the wires and the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Chatty, but he's not until March because that's when he's in the comic, and this one's going to be March too. So I'm excited. But yeah.
I was looking over some of Chris's Kickstarters, and it's like you're in a shop. You're in a retail store.
27 tiers.
We were laughing about this every time we launch Carissa's Kickstarters. We launch them on the Tuesday Morning Brew, and we will spend probably a good hour walking through the Kickstarter before we hit the launch button to make sure people can see what all the options are.
Right.
And then it still takes like another 20 minutes for everybody to funnel through after the live because they're all shopping.
Reading, yeah. And I say it every time. I was like, mine's not. I say like it's not instantaneous. It takes about 20 minutes to read, and then at 20 minutes you see like all the lives.
Like you have to experience the page, and then she just has so many choices. And I love that like everything is available as an add-on, so they shop. Yeah. And then it's like 20 minutes, like boom, everybody's in.
Yeah. It's nice. But you get that heart attack for the 20 minutes. Like I have to keep they're reading. They are reading. It takes a while to scroll down. And then looking at the new pictures, and especially this time we have the new colorist and the Matt Chambers, and we have the new letter, SK, and it's
my Matt.
Yes, I stole her Matt. Okay. And I let her borrow him back when she has
him back.
Yeah. Hey, Charles, he says, "Oh, my Anubis stuff is awesome." At least
you keep Matt busy. So when we're like dealing with formatting or doing something behind the scenes, Matt's like, "You got pages?" And we're like, "Be right with you." Carissa sends him 7.
He has like 12 of mine now. So and I just got 4 more in this morning.
Yeah.
While I'm sitting here, let's see. He sent.
Well, I'm not worried then. Matt's busy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Crap. 8 new pages. Colored. So I'm gonna send
coffee.
them. Yeah, send coffee.
Here you go.
Sometimes I wish that I drank coffee, but especially I've been off for 12 days, so I'm working tomorrow for the first time, and I'm just like, why did I do this to myself? So yeah.
Kids go back to school tomorrow too.
It's hard to be off for so many weeks. I mean, Christmas vacation can be too long of a vacation for sure.
Yeah. I know tomorrow morning is going to be rough. My kids are going to be a hot mess at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh well, such is life. I really love when my friends come on the show because Rick and I have talked. We have hung out we tabled next to each other at Cowtown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've known each other for a while, but I never really got to ask you, like, what is your origin story? How did you get started in comics? And I love hearing what everybody did to kind of like fall into it. And so this show gives me that opportunity to really like ask you all the questions, and like you're a captive audience and no one can like walk up and interrupt. So
when we were at that table down in Fort Worth, I was I think screwing up your sales pitch. I was
Like, Rick, go
prices.
back to your table, Rick.
Yeah, I was imposing on you, but you really helped me a lot, and I do appreciate that.
Oh, it was all in good fun. We had a blast.
It was a
we
good
took the Mickey
convention.
out of each other when there was no one walking down the aisle. We had fun. So
We're going to be back at the next one too. I like that. I like what Charter does. They do a little bit of everything, so I support that convention. But yeah, my story is pretty basic. It's not too crazy. I never did read comics as a kid. I was raised in the 80s of comics. Huh?
Is it blasphemy?
blasphemy.
Well, I watched the Batman on TV, and it was kind of cheesy, but it was for kids, I guess. And I watched all that kind of stuff, but it never did stand out as really cool. It was just kind of there, colorful and cheesy. The funniest part was when Robin would say bang zip, with the punches and stuff. That was like what it was. So I never got into comics, but then around when I was 30 years old or so, I said, you know what? I've got to find out what's up with this comic scene. And I went on to CBR or whatever the website was that said the top 100 greatest storylines of all time. And I didn't care if it was Marvel or DC or Image or whatever it was, Dark Horse, didn't make a difference. I wanted to read what was the best story. Story is what it is for me. And I started going through these stories that were claimed to be the best. And they were actually very, very good. They were surprising. They were deep. They were character building. They were complex and surprising. People got killed or they didn't. It was really a good time for me to go through those, maybe 30 or 40 of the top 100 graphic novels of all time. And that's what got me linked. Now, I also read the entire Wheel of Time series. I read The Lord of the Rings. I read Mistborn from Sanderson. I read a whole bunch, the Dresden Files twice. I like these long series where you have lots of books in a row, and it goes on forever. There she goes. Yes.
You got to tighten it. It's like 3 sizes too big.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's as
that's as tight as it gets. Put your hair up in it. Put your hair up in it.
Yeah, I was like,
you
got a little bean? You got a little bean head? What's going on? Where's your hat? Just giant. Yeah. Did you get one of those oversized hats?
No, it's just I don't know.
Made in China. You never know.
No, this one's actually not made. Oh yeah, it is. They're not in China, but it's the hats. They're not embroidered in China, but they're made in China.
Right,
gotcha.
Right.
But yeah, they look big on me.
Yeah, it looks big on you.
Mm-hmm.
I like the logo though. They did a really good job.
Yeah, the logo is good. I have one of those too. See?
Bing. Nice. Look. Yeah, I ran out of those stickers. It's 300 seemed like a lot at the time, but
I also have the black one. I got both. Right here.
I think I have the black one over here.
Yeah.
So I was going through these stories, and I really liked the longer stories. And I was actually talking to a comic store guy just this last week. I said, I'm kind of tired of the books having one graphic novel and then ending. Like I just read a graphic novel, and it had one volume, and I said, okay, I'm ready for number 2, and there's no volume number 2. I'm like, where are these elongated storylines? They're really hard to find these days, which is Carissa's is, yeah.
Well, and mine is too. Oh, good morning, Pops. This is actually a great question for Charles, because he's an LCS owner. If this is still a thing, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times publishers will be like, I want an arc that's 6 issues max, and they won't take a longer story.
I couldn't get at least 2 publishers wouldn't read the proposal because I had so many issues. They said they wouldn't look at any proposal that had over 3 issues in the story.
Crazy?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I told them off. I was pissy about it because I'm like, why would you do that? And they're like, well, only 50% read or 65% read 2. And then half of that will read 3. And I was like, then you have the wrong stories because if they're not reading 2, then 1 wasn't good enough. So
that's actually what I found. Actually, I checked out a whole bunch of graphic novels from the library just so I could get a whole bunch at once and try to compare the writing. I was doing it for intellectual purposes.
Science.
And I'm sorry to say this. There's just not a lot of really great writing in comic books across the board. I want to say there is. I want to be an advocate and say, all writing is wonderful. We're all great at this. But the reality is it's not that easy to write a story that is, a comic book is going to be kind of choppy between picture to picture. It's going to be kind of quick paced, and to have a writer do that really well is not easy.
No, it's not. Let's see. Charles says, one and dones are great when the stories are great. It's hard to get into books when there's too much lore to read. It's too intimidating for the normies. Interesting.
Well, that probably makes sense. My book, actually, Orphan Bloodline, has a lot of lore, and I do go long like Carissa, not as long as hers, really, I think. Hers is the
90 issues written.
Yeah, she's the longest of the three of us. How many issues is Orphan Bloodline planned out to be? I have 36.
Now we have 20 full issues written, paneled and everything in the text form. So it'll be 3 graphic novels at least, with some other supporting materials.
Yeah.
And as I've done this now, I had 3 books come out in 2023, 1, 2, and 3, plus a side story. So that's actually 3.5. And I had the source book. So I guess that's another book. So I did a lot, but it didn't seem like a lot because I was comparing myself to.
No one can compare that. See, that's the thing. You cannot. And I mean, like,
whenever you're jealous, look, you could just, I'll send you a statement of my credit card debt, and you'll feel so much better.
No. I'm gonna nix that right there. But it's funny because we talk to each other like almost every day. And she's like, I'm on doing this and I'm writing this. And I'm like, I'm still on number 4. You know what I mean?
I think this is an interesting twist in the conversation. Laurie, let's look what you're doing, right? You have your podcast. You're doing a lot of support in the indie market. Plus, you're going back and you're editing and improving your previous books, which I think is really smart. A lot of writers don't do that. I mean, you're doing a lot of things that are not just writing your book. And I think that's how I've grown as well. I wrote the comics, then I did the source book, which I thought was a supplemental, and then I started doing all these extra cool little things like my D&D dice and my tarot cards. I started doing little side things, and now we're moving toward the Heroic Awards, which is to really recognize indie publishers that are smaller than 1% of the market.
What Rick is saying is I have no life, and I have
no. What I'm saying is, sometimes people go down the one path of the writing and the publishing. That's their path. But then other people have, other things that they do in addition to that. And that's just what Laurie is doing. She has like 5 irons in the fire, and you're going full blaze on your one path. It's just focus versus not focus. That's all.
What he's saying is that I have ADD, which is accurate.
We both hear the negative. I have no life, and you're ADD.
Wow.
No, we're just kidding.
This twisted really bad very quickly.
Rick. I know. Rick's like, dang it, 2 women, they're gonna twist everything I say.
No, I'm faster. I mean, that's all from. I mean, I get all the credit. My artist is the one that's doing that. I mean, I wrote these before I even started, so we're still writing. We just wrote we started series 3. So we just finished series 3, book 1. So we're still writing, but my artist is fast. Like, I'm not going to take the credit for going fast. My wallet and my artist are the reasons why I'm so fast.
I'll go back to that comment in a second.
Yeah.
Send donations to Rick for recovering after this.
Yes. I'll take them. I had a guy message me. He and I have gone back and forth for the last several days. He's starting a web comic. He's really early on it. And I was really glad that he reached out to me for some advice because all things being equal, he's just not ready. And I don't think that I was ready when I started, but this kid is really not ready. And if I had it to do over again, would I go slower than I did? I think that I would. In fact, I think what happens is sometimes when you have the ability to go really fast, you miss things. And so I think don't push yourself too hard in one path. If you need to slow down and edit or change or modulate, I think one of the things that Krista did really well was she actually altered her colorist, and she's done things to make it so that she can keep going at her pace, but she's been smart as she's gone. And a lot of people just throw it at the wall and just blow through, and I don't think that's the right way to go.
Well, and one thing I got to say about Carissa, since we're on the topic, is that she's constantly looking to better her comic, and she'll ask a lot of opinions, and she'll review what's been done in the past, and she'll compare it against other things that are in the market and be like, where can we do better? And she will make that adjustments instead of being like, this is what's worked in the past, this is what we're going to continue to do. So she's constantly changing, and I admire that. I try to do that for my stuff as well. Like, where can we improve? I'm always trying to improve my lettering and reading comics to see how I can do SFX, better, stuff like that. Yeah. But anyway, this show is about you, Rick. So we'll get back on topic.
Compliments. Let's go back to Rick.
Carissa's gonna turn pink in a minute if we keep talking.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, you've gotten more improvements. You've gotten the new artists, and you used to ask me about how I like this art, and I was like, it's good. But your second one was better, and so it definitely. But you said the same thing. You're like, this is who I started with, and it wasn't that it was bad. It's just that the next one was better. So.
And what's also weird about that? I was looking at the #1 graphic novels of 2023, and #1 and #3, according to CBR, whatever you want to take from them, but #1 and #3, the art was like not even there. It was like pencil drawing. It was just, I don't know how they got best graphic novel of the year when it just was. It was kind of done on your desktop at school when you were in high school. So I think there's a demand for different. I think sometimes we get caught in our bubble of art and we say, well, this is what's good, but really it's really what's good to us. I agree with you that my second comic had better art, but I've done a survey of, 20 plus people. And I would say at least 2/3 of them liked the artist that was from book #1 better. And so it's hard to balance on this.
Hard.
You want to
because art is subjective, right? People have opinions about it, and they like things like they like tacos. Some like them spicy and some don't. So it's just, you have to find what works best for your story and kind of stick with that. But ultimately, you have to make that choice, right?
Yeah. And this is the problem with the long form content, is because if you have somebody that doesn't like your art from #1, they're not going to get to #6 for the story. They're just going to pause. And this is part of the problem that we run into with long form graphic novels. Now, I personally read Lock and Key. I loved it. Six volumes. It was a great length for me. I read Stephen King's the Gunslinger series. There must have been 8 or 9 graphic novels in that series. I want the long stories. I don't want the one volume. And so for me, I'm looking for those longer volumes, but you can't really find them.
Yeah, well, they're few and far between. I think it's because the story. Stephen King obviously is gonna name his name will draw, right? But a lot of people won't stick around for that if the story isn't compelling enough. So that's our challenge as a writer in a long form, because the three of us are, is how to keep the story fresh, exciting, get the keep the art moving so that people continue to read. I like to use the method of leave everybody on a cliffhanger of what's going, like drop something important at the end, and then be like, everybody, to me, when they throw their comic because they're mad at my story, I have succeeded, because then they pick it up, they read it again, and then they call me, they swear at me, and then they ask for the next one.
I have cliffhangers, but they're not cruel like hers. Like, they're cliffhangers. Like, you want to know what happens. But Laurie's like, let me kill someone you love.
I'm like, this person's dead. Flip the page. There's nothing.
Like, really? So, whatever.
So what do you do, Rick? Well, first of all, I want to back up. I want you to, because there's people in the stream that are watching that may not have heard of Orphan Bloodline. And since we're talking about writing these series, I'd like for you to pitch Orphan Bloodline, tell people what it's about, and then we can kind of talk about it as an example of what you do with your writing. So tell us Orphan Bloodline first.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a cyberpunk while also being historical fiction. So we use real world events, but we twist them with this new science. We bring in cybernetics, mysticism, and biochemistry. So you have technology and mysticism like magic, and then you also have biology, and we combine them in a way that is believable. It's like bleeding edge technology we have today, but it's done in a way where it's going to be, conquering the world with this, secret cabal of nations. You never believed that happened in this current climate of
Yeah,
politics.
it's
But
so weird how some of our fiction, you, me, and Carissa, how things
Yeah.
are starting now. If Carissa's stuff starts showing up in the news, we're screwed,
Yeah.
right? But like yours and mine have been in the, it's like this is we're living our stories, which is
Yeah.
super scary.
in my series, I think it's like book 14 or something like that I'd
Yeah.
written. The third Intifada takes place, and it's put in place by the bloodline, the master people behind the curtain. And then all of a sudden we have kind of this Intifada with Gaza, Israel. And I'm like, no, they attacked too early. They needed to wait a year. So my
They're
book
like the
came out.
cabal. The cabal has found my script. They didn't want to seem contrived. They
Yeah.
did it early.
So that's really the story. I mean, when people read it, and the hard thing for indie comics is to get people to actually read the book. Even if people buy my printed, holographic cover here, they don't even read it. They say, oh, it's too precious for me to read. I have to save it. I can't read it. And I'm like, man, who is going to read this and give me a great review that's a real buyer of the book if all the people who are buying the book don't want to touch it because it looks so beautiful? And I kind of think it's a double-edged sword for me, because I want to give them a high-quality production, which I do, but then they don't want to touch it. So I have to give them 2 of them or something so they can read the one. It's hard to say. But the people who have gone through and read it message me, and they say, wow, this is unbelievable change. Like when you have the dream sequences from the history, and when you have the gory, mad scientist scenes, and when you have, just all this lore that the commenter was saying people don't want to read about lore, which he's the professional. I yield to his knowledge, but me personally, I need that. I need that lore. I want to get deep into these stories, delved into these stories. So for me, that's how I feel about
something here. I think that you and I have kind of stumbled upon a way to give people the lore without giving them the lore, right? So you have your extra book, your, what is it called?
Source
guide.
Yeah, source book.
Source book. Thank you. So that's a way that if people love lore, like you and me both, we do. We love riddles. We build secrets in, right? Not everybody's into that. As I know, because I know what you found out, what I found out. I wrote all these riddles, and maybe 3 people, sometimes.
And your riddles are so good too. They're actually well thought out. They're difficult to solve. I mean, you've put some thought into it. For me,
some of them aren't. Like one of them is just a QR code scavenger hunt. They just have to participate. There is no solving. Now, my riddle for number 4 is hard. Is hard. But the riddle for 3 is not. So you can really see like who is interested, and it's only a handful. So the meat and potatoes of the story kind of touches at the lore like yours does. But it's like, if they're really interested in that lore, here's another thing that you can consume in addition to, and then you can dive in for that person who is discerning and wants to know. I think that's the right way to do it. So you're not like, spending pages and pages building this thing that like most people don't care about.
Right.
And the Riddler. How did you not know this, Quentin?
And if you look here, you can see all the riddle. This is like a code in the back of the book. And then in the book, you have these symbols, which are QR codes for music that get you a song for the page. And I've told these things to people, and they're like, oh, that's so amazing, which I appreciate that. I think it is really amazing. But when you're a shop guy and you're trying to sell comics, do you have 20 minutes to go over with somebody about these little nuances that a book has? This is a hard thing that comic shops are running into, is how do you push indie comics with a new character and a new writer and a new publisher that the readers don't know, they're not familiar with, and the reader has like 5 minutes, real fast, 3 minutes to hear from you. How as a shop owner do you do that?
I have an answer to that. And actually, Charles Boyer is the one that gave me this answer. It's called a pitch postcard. And I did this for Charles' store, and I've been using it at other stores, and they love it. So it's a postcard where one side is a picture of like the cover for issue 1. Yeah. And on the back is my elevator pitch paragraph. And there's a QR code with a sample of the book. I actually give them the whole first issue.
Yeah.
So, now Charles, I've been to Charles's store. Geek Out in Burleson is fabulous. They opened a second store in Mansfield. I've spent time with his staff, who are wonderful, and they love my book. So that is key too, is spending time in the store and building that relationship, because his staff love my book, so they're able to talk about it. Right.
Right.
So when they're looking for indie and they're looking for something different, his people are like, hey, guess what? We got this from Laurie Calcaterra, and they're able to talk about it. But if they don't have time, the store is swamped. Hey, throw a pitch postcard in there and be like, check this out. And if you like it, we have it on the shelf.
Where's the pitch postcard next to your book on the shelf when you're not there?
It's on their counter.
Oh, it's on the counter.
Check out.
Okay. All right. So what I was thinking about what you're saying about how we can help the shops succeed in selling more of our books is I like the idea of collaboration between indie comics where we can get really good stories that we can trust the writing, we can trust the art, we can trust the longevity of the publisher to be there. And then we get a rack, just a single rack. No, not Ovaltine.
No, it's not. We love you, Lou.
I kind of want it to be now. Like,
well, if it was, it would be funny if it was.
I'd be like, how did you know?
Ovaltine.
Yeah. So, like, if we can get a rack and we can get these to the shops that's branded, whether it's Charter Comics or if it's Heroic Award winners or whatever it is, get a rack that has only that company's books, and then we supply the books, maybe even consignment, or I don't know how to do it where anybody makes any money. This is the hard thing.
Because we're not nominated.
Quentin, get your mind out of the gutter.
Right, Laurie?
What?
I said not a rack with Heroic Award winners because we're not nominated. So
yeah.
Why aren't you? Because I've been messaging Chris Hayes to nominate Charter Comics books. Of course, mine is not going to be able to be nominated at the end, but Charter can, and I keep on messaging him. Chris has got to get you guys' books in.
You just called out Chris Hayes on this show.
Yep. Chris, what are you doing?
Chris is gonna get a plane ticket and show up on your porch.
Yeah, I respect Chris, but his communication's got to be better. I'm just saying that. He knows it.
He's been a super busy man. His daughter got married. They've all been sick. He's had a lot on his plate this year.
2024, this is the first podcast of the year. What is your goals, Laurie, for this year?
My goals? Okay. Well, that's funny. You're interviewing me on my own show, by the way. Well, Psycho Cell 6 is in production right now.
Which is your third, right? This is your third book with them.
This is the third one in the Psycho Cell series. So I wrote 4, 5, and 6. 5 is, I believe, in formatting and going to the printer. So that one should be fulfilled soon, which I'm really happy with that one. That one's a tense book. And 6 is kind of the finale, and we've done some pretty out there stuff with it. So that one's he's penciling and inking right now. So that one we should see that one fulfilled, which will be, no, we haven't kickstarted that one yet. So William has to kickstarter that one soon, and then that one will come out. So that's Psycho Cell. And then Path of the Pale Rider, we're going to fulfill number 4. That one's almost, it's like, when you see the finish line, you keep wanting to be there. We're almost there. But again, I don't want to rush it. I want it to be what it's meant to be, the best version of itself. So it'll be done when it's done. As soon as that's done, we're going to format that for the trade paperback, and we'll start working on that, getting that out there. So I'm building the Kickstarter for that now. And my goal is to do Kickstarter number 5, fulfill number 5, and Kickstarter number 6 before the end of the year.
And
if we can
the
finish
trade paperback is part of 6, or it's after 6?
The trade paperback is 1 through 4.
Oh, okay.
Right. But like mine is like first act, second act, third act. And there's like 4 issues in each act. Right. So first act, second act is 5, 6, 7, 8. We won't get to 8 and finish a trade paperback this year. But I would like to do the trade and 2 additional, like 5 and 6.
Wait,
if we don't finish 6, I would. What?
So, time out a second. So the first 3 books were there. You didn't do those. Chris Hayes wrote 1, 2, and 3, right?
You're talking about Psycho Cell. I'm talking about Path of the Pale Rider.
Oh, see, we switched in the middle, and I didn't follow. I apologize.
Yeah. So Path of the Pale Rider 1, 2, and 3 are done. 4 is in production. We're like, I would say like 80% done with it. And then when that's finished, we're going to move to trade paperback for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to Kickstarter 5 and finish 5 this year, and then at least Kickstarter 6. Our timing, the way that it's been, because we've had like printer issues and like colorist issue. So everything, you have an intention of a deadline, and then it gets pushed. for
So you're
whatever
doing-
reason.
You're doing multiple issues of Psycho Sal this year, 5 and 6 at least, and you're doing multiple issues of
Path of the Tail Rider.
which is going to be like at least 3 issues.
Well,
so
we're going to do the trade in at least 2 issues.
So you're
there'll
talking
be
about
3 books of that and 2 books
every
of
other
Psycho
month.
Sal.
Every other month is a Kickstarter for you this year.
Pretty much.
How do you feel about that?
Not necessarily mine either. You know what I mean? Like the Roku Kickstarter will be coming up again.
Right.
So I'm just really looking forward to having more people on the Tuesday Morning Brew, doing that. I picked up another show. I don't know if people are aware, called the Anyone World Showcase, where that's like ASAP Imagination, which is they're a publisher in the UK. They're awesome. And they're starting to move their Any One World books, anything that's a trade paperback, they're pushing into physical stores. So he got a contract with Waterstone, which is basically the UK equivalent to Barnes and Nobles. And they have like 6 of their trades you can purchase from their website, which is amazing. So they have contracts that are started. He's looking to do, I think they're called Indigo, which is the Canadian version of that. And then Barnes and Nobles here in the United States. So it's perfect timing for our trade paperback, because once it's done, Luno's the posh bookstore, right? That once our trade paperback is done, you know, that hopefully ASAP, quote unquote, Any One World can help us move that into like a bookstore setting, which would be really cool. They won't take floppies. Obviously it's a bookstore, but that would be great. So, you know, we got a few things in the hopper. I'm going to be doing short films. I'm going to be doing, my riddles are going to be more in depth. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know for me, for 2024, I have my wife and I, our goals for 2024 were both the same, which was interesting. Our resolutions were to make more money, get new jobs, and just try to like have like that higher standard of living for 2024. And that's a good goal for anybody, but I think we're actually going to get it done. I just got a new job. I start this week. She is in her
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's in her 3rd interview for this amazing job that she's getting. So I think we're going to meet these goals, is our hope. And if that cash starts coming in, then I think that the comic creation from the artist will be quicker, as I'll be able to have more cash to fork out. But, you know, I know that Kickstarter is amazing, 100%, but I don't know that I extremely love the process. Your 30 days of pushing 4 or 5 posts, you know, a day, or messages for a month, it just seems like a lot. What do you think about that? And is there a different way or a better way, or this is just the way?
There can be. I think that people like Zim, what's it called? My train derailed. Zymphonic universes. I can't talk. What's wrong? I need more coffee. Excuse me for a second.
What do you think, Carissa? What do you think, Carissa, about the Kickstarter model?
I'm moving mine to 3 weeks because I think 4 weeks is too long, and that way I have more space between Kickstarters so people can save up money to spend. So because I do have my own every other month. Right now I have 6 planned. The first one is Monday, this coming Monday, January 8th, and then I have March 4th. And then I have every other month. So I was giving people a little bit more space, and I'm going to try the 3-week one, though I'm torn if I should try the 3-week one in March instead of January, because January is so close to Christmas. I don't know if people want later in January. So I haven't decided yet for sure, but I definitely want to do the 3-week one because not only am I constantly stressed, which apparently I don't mind because I do it every other month.
Right.
But it is stressful, and you have slow activity in the middle. And then most of it comes in the first week and the last week. So technically, I'm hoping one day to be have enough followers and I could just do 2 weeks and be done.
Yeah, first week and last week, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I wanted to say is like Zing Zin, who does Xenomorphic Versus. Thank you, Brain, for actually saying the words. He doesn't do any crowdfunding. Everything is direct sales through his website.
Yeah.
So at some point.
Translate into which language?
Whose language?
Siri. That's Siri asking to translate.
Well, I don't blame
Xenomorphic.
You're
Anyway.
translating to which language?
Yeah, she asked me which one to translate.
No,
to.
the which language? You're getting into the dark stuff over there.
Good Lord.
What's the
But
which language?
The
That
point
sounds
is, I
good.
think, because William Russell and I just had this conversation too. At which point do you have so many returning customers that it doesn't make sense to run your campaign through Kickstarter anymore? Because if you're pushing everybody to the Kickstarter and the algorithm is only bringing you 10% new people, they're taking more than what they're contributing.
Yeah. I think Amazon is still an option. Some people say they go straight to Amazon through a link in there for buying. And then Amazon prints it for you, print on demand. That could be an option. So you don't have to fork the money over in the beginning. I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be a time when Kickstarter is going to be great. It's going to be here, but there's going to be a time when there's another option. I don't know what that option is. And the comic book stores aren't making a ton of money. I went to the stores for Christmas. They had these great, anniversary year thing or holiday thing. And it was buy two, get one free or whatever. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way these stores are even making any money right here. So I don't know.
Definitely rough. This year was rough for a lot of comic book stores. My buddy, Fergal Amayo, who's been on the show, he was in Michigan. I did a book signing over there over the summer. He had to close. They're closing this month. So it's been rough out there for a lot of stores.
Yeah. I think they've survived by doing Magic and doing tabletop games and doing, Warhammer.
Supplementing with other things. Yeah.
But comics still come in and people still there are some buyers, but I don't know. There's something to people wanting different. And I don't think that comics are gone. I just think that people want different. And that's why I hope we can put some light on some of these indie creators and get them out there through the Heroic Awards. That's my hope, is that we can get some visibility and throw that stamp on the book saying, best line art or best writer or whatever it is. Because I think the more that we publicize success and exceptional writing and exceptional art and exceptional plots in our books, more people will give us a shot. And if we actually do award the awards appropriately, which we will, obviously, but if we do that and people read the book and this is going to be the best colorist and they see the color is amazing and we get credibility that way, I think it'll keep more of these indie comics going forward. That's my hope.
Gotcha. Yeah, let's dive into Heroic Awards. I brought the page up so people can see it. This is a legit thing. You're just starting, and I think this year, correct, is the first time the awards will be sent out.
Yeah, we started the community group was put together sometime around October, November. So just recently, a couple months ago, because there was enough energy. We felt that the crowds wanted more of this. I'm a huge fan of Eisner Awards. I'm a fan of Ringo, but to be honest, and I've talked to people who have been judges at those competitions, it's just not, in my opinion, it's not broad or large enough for the industry. There may be 3,000 Kickstarter comic books this year alone. There may be, and that's too many books for just 2 awards to focus on a couple of creators. And to be honest as well, I wanted to really showcase more of the smaller creators. I didn't really want Image. I didn't want IDW. I didn't want Dark Horse. And then I said, well, that's not really what I want to focus on. They might be quote unquote indie, maybe not. Let me ask the audience. And when I asked the audience, I got so many different feedback and input. Some people said definitely include any publisher as long as they don't have ownership of the characters, that the writer keeps the ownership of their character, which is a really hard thing to guarantee that you're going to find that right book. Others said don't include anyone that's not super tiny. We got so much feedback. It told me that the industry is really broken on this, that we're apart, we're segmented in these positions. And there was people that said don't include anybody who's been part of Comicsgator, and then people said only include people that are in the. I just got so much feedback. I got so much feedback, and it was political sometimes, and it was who had a beef with whom. To be honest, I don't like any of that stuff. What I want to do is I want to showcase what is really high quality. Yeah. But I can't be the one to decide that. So I created an advisory council, and these people are the ones who decide the rules, and they decide who's in and who's out, and we do it through committee, because it has to be a community. It can't be Rick Duree. It can't be Carissa. The Carissa would get all the answers right. We know, but we have to go with the community. And that's what we've done, is we've created a community of artists and writers and publishers and marketers of the indie community, and we put them together to form panels. They're kind of like sub-advisory boards for each one. So the best writer will have their own group, and the best line art will have their own group, and the best cover art will have their own group of judges and rule makers. Because to be honest, the artists, they know art, but they might not know writing, and the writers, they know writing, but they probably don't know art. Even though we're as writers, we're buying art from our artists. We're trying to support the artists, and they're trying to support us. We really don't know why this cover and that cover would be a better or worse, quote unquote. And so you really need the professionals in their individual industries. This post you just had there was a joke.
This one?
Yeah.
Right. It looks like Hunger Games.
Yeah,
honoring exceptional renderings of independent creators.
What do you think, Carissa, from what I've been saying here? What's your thoughts?
I think I was right in helping you pick that name. That looked good.
Oh, you know, this is actually part of the thing, is just you helped, and also we had other people that helped and gave feedback, and I think that's the way this has to work. We have to do it from the ground up. It can't be just one person top down. And
I don't remember what the first name was, but it was too common or too overused. I don't remember what it was, but
one of them was Anarchy Awards. That was one of them.
Yeah, because it's Anarchy Comics and there's the Anarchy publisher, and but yeah, I think you chose well on this one. Yeah.
Mike Wheeler gave me some input on this one, and so did yourself and other people. I'm happy to receive help from anybody that wants to serve. That's what we're about. We're about trying to build the indie market and get awareness to these exceptional renderings of independent creators. That's what this is about. So for me, I'm all in on allowing the Heroic Awards to go wherever it goes. I'm not into like forming it and guiding it. I want it to go wherever it goes. And anybody who wants to help, they're welcome. And anybody who wants to be a judge, as long as they have credentials, they can be a judge in their specific line that they're professional at. I mean, I got this idea from being a barbecue judge. I'm a professional barbecue competition judge, which I've done maybe almost 30 competitions.
That's amazing. That's how you get to eat the best barbecue, man. Sign me up for that.
Yes. And if I would recommend anybody search out your society, your barbecue society in your community, search it out, because you're going to get the best barbecue, but you're also going to meet amazing people, and you're supporting these chefs to help their own meat become that much better, that higher class. And then they open restaurants, and they open food trucks. It's really an entrepreneurial endeavor, which I deeply support. So I took that experience and I put that into the Heroic Awards to break down these categories. And I think if you scroll a little bit more, you might see one of the breakdowns that we did.
Well, I wanted to talk to you. We'll come back to this one about the submission rules. But yeah,
right here.
This one?
Yeah. So looking for criticism right there. It says this. I'm asking people to give us feedback. I asked some people who would make the best letterer. And then this is the breakdown, 3 categories: lettering, visual harmony, and book layout. Now, this is not the final. We've edited this 4 times since then, because I've got a lot of feedback from the community, which is what we need to do. We always need to take that feedback and apply it. But generally, the layout for these judging is going to be the category, and then 3 sections that are kind of broken up, and the judge has to rate that section 1 to 5, and then we add up the total overall score, and that's the score for that letterer in that book. Now I put here letter and technical. I'm not sure this is right. After our first year, we may alter this. I'm not going to say this is the only way to do it, but what the feedback we've received was letterer itself wasn't its own category. That's what the feedback that I got. They also wanted to include kind of like layout of the book, the letters on the front cover, the logo of like Orphan Bloodline's logo. They wanted to include the title page on the inside of the cover. These are things, the ads that are put into a book where they're laid out. People wanted to include all of that into that technical / letterer pile. Now, am I right to do that? It's not my game. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying this is what the crowds have told me, so that's what we're doing. After the first year, we'll decide if that's right or wrong. Maybe it's going to be different next year. I'm not sure. And I'd love any feedback anybody who out there wants to give. Throw us some feedback and tell us what to do.
Interesting.
Because Laurie, you're a letterer for your own books.
Yes, I am.
What do you think about that I just said?
I don't consider myself good, so I would never expect to be nominated in this. So I don't know. I think your criteria, like for example, for best I think your, what do you call this? A matrix looks fair. I think that, the judges would have something, standard to look at and be able to go through this and to rate it, and then to be able to give it an average score will definitely help. So it isn't just subjective, like,
right.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean? The problem, I don't know. It's just that who are the judges? How long have they been there? It's all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
well, let me tell you what Eisner does. And I don't know if this is well known. I don't know if it is, but I've spoken to judges who did Eisner, and this is what they told me. This is what they told me they do. They all meet up together and they judge all of the awards, just that group of like 6 people or whatever it is. And so when you get an Eisner Award, the readers had read, I don't know how many 100 books or whatever. And those 6 or 8 or however many people it is in that group that meet up in person, and they haggle and talk back and forth and banter about which books are better. And it's more of coming to a consensus like that. And it's less of doing a credentialed jurying like I have here. Maybe their way is better. Maybe their way of actually, being an advocate for the book you thought was the best to your compatriots and then coming to a consensus verbally, maybe that's the best way to do it. But I think that the numerical awarding to me seems to be the way to go. What do you think?
I think it's a logical way and I think there could be like a hybrid method where you do both. Like maybe everybody reads them separately and goes through the matrix and give them a score, and then meet as a group and discusses how they rated things. And then can adjust maybe based off of conversation, and then, submit a final that is separate from everybody else. Ultimately, I would hope that everybody is forming their own opinion about what's being read. But it's just so hard to me. Like, how did you go about picking the judges, or was there how did the judges get set even? That's interesting to me.
So this is a great question. And to be honest,
hold this down for just a second, just so I can hear you better.
Yeah. So this is not set yet. The judging starts March 1st. So we have 2 months to really solidify who the judges are. March 1st to no, it's only 1 month. The judging starts February 1st. So we have 1 month to really solidify this. Our position so far is we reached out to, I think it's something like 150 publishers. And we said, you guys are publishers. You guys do this for a living. You guys are either writers or artists or what have you. Would you deem someone in your publishing house or yourself would be good at any of these awards to judge? And which one is your bailiwick, like your bread and butter? And then they send back, this is the person, this is the thing that they're professional in. And we've gathered 150 of these people. So we have lots and lots of judges. And the idea is to go through and see which categories have too many judges. And then I guess our committee will then decide, like, who of those people who have been brought to us are the people who maybe be premier in the industry currently. So we might have to weed through a couple of them and not have them, because just because you say you're good may not be. But we tried to use the community to give us the people. We didn't want to go out and say we knew the people. We wanted the community to give us the people, so that we would then not be so biased. The last thing we want is for us.
That's the hardest part of this, isn't it? Yeah.
The last
how
thing
do you remain unbiased?
Exactly, and that's one of the biggest feedbacks we got in starting this was make sure you're not biased. Don't charge people to enter. Don't make it a profit center. Try to use more and more broad-based support, not just who you know where you're at. And that's what we've tried to do. So if we have 150 judges and they're each nominated themselves and their groups have nominated them for maybe 1 or 2 awards to judge on, now we have, hundreds of people and award judge positions that we can fill. We whittle that down over the next month to these are the 6 or 8 judges for this award. These are the 7 or 9 judges for this award, whatever quantity we ending up having. And then they do the judging over February 1st to the end of March. And then our award ceremony happens at C2E2 in Chicago, end of April.
Yeesh. Yes. And craziness. I just have a hard time even considering what you're doing, just because all of the work and everything that goes into setting this up and having the right people in place and then filtering through all the submissions. I do want to go over the submissions process, because Carissa and I were both talking about this, and I was like, I've been so busy, Rick, and I apologize. You and I kind of fell off each other's radar, and you were like, asking me about Heroic, and I was just like, man, I need to pay more attention. Yeah. So I was looking at this specifically. So again, this submission rules is the Heroic Awards. In order to be entered, you have to be a publisher, correct?
Yes. Now, publisher means an imprint. So in this case, it could be Path of the Pale Rider if you were not to be subject to charter, or it could be charter and they could say you're in our imprint. With Carissa, same thing. She could say, no, I'm Worthy Chaos. That's my imprint. I'm submitting my own, or charter and her can negotiate, and charter can submit from their breadth of books. Now, the thing about charter
really told me that I couldn't, though, because 2 people nominated me for it and you said she's not eligible.
Oh, okay. Would you, this is an important question. So to get nominated doesn't happen from a fan saying this is my favorite book. That's not how the nominations happen, because we all have hundreds of deep supporters. What we tried to do this first year, and this could be wrong, I'm not saying this is the best way to go. What we tried to do was we tried to go straight to the publishers themselves, the creators. And we said, okay, if you've created 1 series or 2 series, we deem you to be somewhat of a new creator in the industry. I'm not saying that's 100% always the case, but generally speaking, if you have 1 series or 2 series, you're probably newer in the industry.
I have 3.
Yeah, you have 3, right? And so you would be able to. Worthy Chaos could submit.
I didn't, because you actually told the person what you said I wasn't eligible, so I never did anything with it. That's why I never, submitted anything, or because as far as I knew, I wasn't eligible.
Well, the submissions go to the end of January. So I'm really glad we're having this conversation, because we need to get this information out. And to be honest, I definitely apologize if in any way I do things wrong. I'm literally playing this.
Well, I'm just saying, you're saying I could submit. I'm explaining why I didn't, because I was told that I was uneligible.
So I just want to make sure we're clear, because and this is great, because to have you on here and to talk through in case there's any confusion, because again, this thing is new. So if people have questions, it's this great time to pick your brain and to get the correct information out there. So this is for publishers to submit nominations, and the publisher needs to have at least 3 imprints under their umbrella in order to participate, correct?
Well, now there's 2 tiers, there's 2 paths.
Okay.
The first path is for people who have 1 or 2 series. Now a series can be a standalone book, or a series can be 19 books. Whatever you deem a series to be in your production for your publishing house, you have to have at least 3 to go this path. But if you have 1 or 2, you can do this path. Let's start with the 1 or 2. So if you have 1 or 2 series, then we deem you a newer creator, and we allow these awards to be sought for you. You can be Indie Creator of the Year. You can be Publisher of the Year. You can be People's Choice Award. There's a few awards that you fall into. Best Cover Art. These are ones that we can do in the initial 1 or 2 series publisher level. If you're in the 3 or more series, so this has been your career for years, and you have multiple successful Kickstarters, and you have a huge following because you have 3 or 4 or 5 series that you're doing, even 10 series, then you get your books are entered into best writer, best interior art, best colorist, all the other series as well. Now, this may sound unfair to people who have 2 series and they're really good, but the reason is this: we've had 150 submissions, and our judges can't read all these books. It's just this is volunteer work, so we had to draw the line somewhere, and we drew the line at 3 series.
Okay.
Did you have a thought, Carissa?
No, I think I get it now.
Any thoughts?
No, I want to submit.
Okay, so the idea is we're going to have lots of publishers that are submitting. I mean, every day I post a new picture of a book that's been submitted for a certain award. I don't list the awards they're submitted to. It's too much work. This is a cut and paste game to get it put out there and posting. But I have posts all the way through the end of February that are going to be going out that are already lined up. There's a lot of entries, and that makes me happy. People are wanting to get a part of it. They think that it could be getting their highlight in their book, which it should. That's the purpose of it. But we had to draw the line somewhere. And so new creators, they're allotted into a few of the awards. And then the people who have created for a longer period of time, they're allotted to even more awards where you have more judging responsibilities. I mean, the judges reading all these books, it's a lot of work, and these are volunteers, and I didn't want to overwhelm them.
Yeah, you did mention that I should look into being a judge, and it's just too much work for me. I'm too lazy for that.
Yeah, judging is it's going to take some time. I'm going to guess that if a judge is going to judge a certain criteria, I mean, there's 11 places, there's 11 awards. So these 100 and some entries are being filed down into these awards, but you can bet that you're going to judge 15 books. You're going to read, a good number of books. Now, how long does it take you to read an issue? You're not reading 7 issues in the series. You're reading the issue that's been submitted for best line art. I mean, how long does it take you to read and judge one book? What do you think, Laurie?
Come back to me in a second.
I'm thinking for myself, if I were to read a book that was normal 26 pages or what have you, and I was going to judge it on line art, I'm probably going to spend a half an hour on that book. I'm just going to be guessing as an average. And if you're going to judge 15 books or whatever, you're talking about one full day of judging. You're talking about, 8 hours of judging. And that's what we kind of expect from our judges, is to give us a full day of work to get us their results for their award. Then our award goes out on C2E2 in April. I meet with them on, is it Thursday or Friday this week? And we go into depth more about what we can do to collaborate together. But my hope is that we get a stage position and we have access to the HVAC, the audio video of the Comic-Con. That's our hope. We're working that out this weekend and see what they can do for us.
So is this going to be like, you're going to print out, like you're going to have a live show to say who won or the nominees or whatever? That's cool. Yeah. We're doing a live show. We have at least 6 or 8 media arms that want to host it live, maybe simulcast. And I'm not the technology guy. I don't do that. Timothy Fling has offered to be the host. We have other hosts that have offered from other media outlets. It depends on who can do it and who's going to be, the best fit at the time. This is still several months away. So I can submit any number. Like I could submit issue 8 because that has my new colorist in it.
It had to come out and had to be published and come out in 2023.
Okay, then it can't be 8. It was done, but it wasn't released yet. So yeah.
There were a couple really good publishers that I was hoping would participate, but their books came out in 2022, and then now they're coming out in 2024, but they didn't have anything in 2023. And so they're going to be judges. They're not going to be submitting. And anybody who submits, they also will never be a judge for that year. Because it's not fair to submit. Even if you're submitting best writer and you're judging best colorist, we just don't want to have any of that. We want to have all that separate entirely.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's a tough one to figure out because my artist got better as he went. So obviously 7 would be the best, but there's so many spoilers in there. I can't really. I couldn't even show pages for my Kickstarter. I'm like, what can I put on here that doesn't have?
Well,
yeah.
one thing that will be to your benefit, and I think any publisher or imprint, their benefit is the only people that will see those books are the judges that are in that category. So let's say you were submitting to best letterer, let's just say, and you submitted book number 7. Let's just say the only ones who are reading that book are the 6 or 7 people that are judging for letterer, and no one else will see that. These are all separated into segmented drives where the drive is the link is given to the judge for that particular award, and no one else receives that. I'm not even reading them. I'm not even reading these books because it's not fair to the creator that their books get out there for everybody to see. It's not right. So I'm trying very hard to keep that tamped down.
That's good to know. My artist did everything for the book for book 1. So he did sketch, pencil, ink, color, lettering. But yeah,
and I really love what you're saying. This is exactly what I was thinking people would say is I can't tell Carissa what Carissa's best book was. Carissa knows what her best book is. She knows what her best art in which book. She knows which plot is the best storyline for which book. You know that. I don't know that. And so you, as Worthy Chaos, let's just say, if you submitted and you have 3 series that you've created, and before the end of 2023, you have 3 series that you've created, then you'd be able to submit to any of those criteria awards. Now you only get to submit 2 issues, and you could only submit each issue for 2 categories. So this one can be best cover and line art. This one can be best story and best letter, or whatever order, however you want to do it. And what that's doing is it's really breaking down people who would say, oh, submit me for all the awards. We can't do that. You need to pick your best at.
I could do my issue 4 variant because we all know Ken Hunt's is the best cover for the cover. And then I could do another one for the art inside is what you're saying.
Yeah. So number 4 can be best. Yeah. So 4 can be best cover, best colorist, or best cover, best line art, or best, however you want to line it up. You get 2 awards to submit for that issue. And then you can pick a second issue, whether it's 7 or if it's 3 or whatever it is, and say, I'm submitting that one for best whatever.
I missed that part. I heard the 2 issues. I didn't hear 2. I didn't get the 2 awards per 2 issues. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we're giving every publisher an option to really hone in to where their books are professional.
I need to pause for a second. My kid needs clothes. You guys keep going. I'll be right back.
All right.
Nice.
What other thoughts or questions do you have, Carissa?
Like how many do you have submitted already? Do you know?
Yeah. I think we have in total books. I think we have 100 and something total books submitted.
Wow.
We're getting new ones every day. I mean, we got 3 more this morning, and we're going to have them flooding in this month because people who said they were interested back a month and 2 ago, they just might have gotten busy. But now as the date comes in, you're in your last week of your Kickstarter, everybody just jumps on board. So we will have over 200 books easy, is my guess, by the end of it.
How do you pick which ones are submitted? Like you're saying all these are submitted and you're going through those and picking certain ones for the judges.
So the ones that are submitted, they're submitted under the one of 2 paths, whether it's this path or this path. And so of those that are submitted under the 3+ series submissions, they've told us which categories and which books they're submitting. And so I just push those books into those pots, into those folders in the Google Drive, and the judges will then have access to those to go over.
I'm saying like everyone that submitted a book, is every single one getting judged?
They're all getting judged in some way or form. If it's a publisher that has 1 or 2 series, they'll only be subject to those fewer award options. And then the ones who have 3 or more have a greater number of options. But again, these publishers choose their award they're submitted to, and they send that to us in a file.
Okay. This is like stereo instructions.
Yeah. It's tough because we don't have just one path. If I had one path, I would just say it's like this. But I didn't think it was right for a publishing house that's been around for 20 years and has, 12 different series they've done, to be put up against someone who just started this year. I just didn't think that was going to be fair, for a lot of reasons, not just because the one person is new. They had 2 books that came out this year, like me, and now I'm put up against somebody who had 20 years of experience. Well, I'm just going to be losing, and probably because I don't have, my books might not be as professional as the book they just came out with 20 years later. So that's one reason. That's one benefit. The other benefit is the people who have so many series, they have very high professional people on their team. And I really want to give the judges those books to judge, and maybe don't give them the book to judge that was kind of half-heartedly put together on a web comic scene, and then they just submitted it. I didn't think it was, I wanted to go through and get the ones that we knew were going to be probably a higher quality from the beginning. I don't know if that's fair. Maybe it's not fair.
No, it sounds fair. I hate the word series. This is I don't know, as a dyslexic, the way you say it, I'm assuming is the right way to say it. I just the plural of series is and it just sounds off.
Happy New Year. Sorry, on Facebook user, you have to do the thing to let us know who you are.
I just realized our names are not on the screen. Is that new?
Huh?
Usually our names are on the screen.
Well, yeah, you have to give it permission.
No, I mean for on our picture.
Oh, that's weird.
I've been trying this whole time to figure out what's different. I'm slow. So I was like, oh.
I didn't click anything different. That's odd.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. StreamYard freaking hates me right now. I'm like clicking all the buttons trying to get it to cooperate.
Well, if you look at my video,
I was like, Rick, come back to me. I'm trying to stop this thing from blowing up.
Yeah. On Facebook, if you watch my video that I had about my unboxing, I think the first 20 seconds are black because I could not figure out how to make the screen.
You're like, my camera is not on.
I'd never used StreamYard before. So I was using the free StreamYard. And I was like, I don't see anything. And I had to click on myself to post myself into the thing. So I did not. So people that watch it might be like, well, it's a blank video. So
all I know, Rick, is that you're putting a ton of work into this, and I know it's going to continue to evolve.
Yeah.
I don't envy how much the planning and work this is gonna be, but kudos to you for trying to build the platform for more people to be recognized for their exemplary work. Here's hoping that it continues to grow, and that it turns into the best version of itself. And I know that that's what you're striving for.
And if I screw up, or if the judges do something that the audience doesn't like, or if something falls through the cracks in some way, I'm asking for some grace. Okay, we're just doing our best. We're all volunteers, but we really have passion for supporting the indie market and supporting the indie creators. Anybody, I guess how we ended up in the end was, if a publisher is smaller than 1% of the market, then they can be accepted. If they're larger than 1% of the market, then we're not going to accept them. And I don't want to say that those other publishers aren't good, because they are great, but we really want to focus on the small guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be able to come in as somebody new and still be able to participate. And like you said, not have to compete against those who are 20 years down, into their path.
No, I have more issues than some that have been doing this for 10 years. So there's that. I didn't say they were better. I just did have more. So,
it's the same as trying to like put in your stuff for a Ringo Award. And it's like, oh, Laurie's been making comics since 2022. We're not even going to bother looking. You know what I mean?
And also, when you put in awards where it's just people's choice, the people who have a following of 5,000 people versus a following of 500 people, I mean, the 5,000 people followers, they're going to win. That's just by people clicking the button. And
I was surprised for the Beam Awards, because when I had only sent it to like 20 people, so I'm like, oh, I might win something. And then he's like, oh, 300 people voted. I was like, oh, I probably won't win anything, but I did. So I was actually like, cool. And I don't know 300 people.
Right. And I love when getting recognition, but you know what I really hate? I hate having to compete against my friends too. that makes me super uncomfortable. So if my publisher nominates me and then it goes against a panel, I think that's different than like a popularity contest. Because I'm like, vote for me, vote for me. But then I'm like, but Carissa's on there and Brandon's on there and Dre is on there. And it's like, I want people to vote for them too. So I get really uncomfortable when it is a popularity contest and I'm like, please go vote for me. Please go vote for me. Please go vote for me. And again, it's just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to compete against Carissa. That's never my intention. You know what I mean?
She'd win and she'd feel guilty.
That's not true. That's not true. All right. I did like the Beam Awards. I did not like sending the link to everybody and say, vote for me. I did it because it was cool, but I did not like it. And when I got asked again by another person for a different award, I didn't do it because I was just like, I feel like I'm bothering people to be like, go vote for this, because they're not going to want to say no. They're not going to want to not do it.
Right.
So you know what though? When I posted, I was like, hey, come vote for me on this thing. I only got like 1 like, and I usually get a pretty fair amount of interaction, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is stupid. I'm like, 1, I feel bad that nobody likes it. 2, I'm probably, I'm not going to continually push contests like this because it makes me uncomfortable.
Part of what you're mentioning is some of these, and I'm a fan of all these awards. Everybody should do awards and recognize excellence in the industry. That's great. What I found frustrating, which is why we did Heroicoids differently, what I found uncomfortable was, if it's always people's vote, then is that really a critical vote, or is it a popularity vote?
Popularity contest,
right? And I really liked the barbecue judging I've done, because it wasn't voting for the team or which one looks tasty. It was like which one was actually smoked appropriately, seasoned appropriately, has the right tenderness. I mean, there's a lot of things involved in eating the meat that you really learn what is the best barbecue. I'm not going to be thinking about all the weird tangents here. I'm just focusing on barbecue.
I'm hungry.
And another thing that a lot of taste testers can do is they can do blind tasting. And I don't know if there's a way that you can incorporate that into Heroic Awards, because you know what I mean, without knowing who the team is, or
that's the gray area. What you're saying there is the gray area. I have not this year. We're not going to cut the cover off and make sure that they only receive the inner of the book and they only judge on that, where they don't know who the artist is. We're not going that far, but in the future, that may be an option where we end up doing this blind position, because these judges, they know the industry. These are professionals. And if they know Carissa or they know Laurie and they get the book, I know Path is Laurie's book and I know Laurie. Yeah. I mean, we don't really want to have that conflict. This year, we can't solve that conflict, but hopefully in the future, we'll be able to even do more to eliminate that bias option that's there. Our goal is to have all this bias gone. But to start, we're not going to do the people's voting when it comes to best letterer, and you put a cover up on Facebook and people vote on it. Well, they didn't even read the comic. They knew the person, they knew the art of the cover, they voted, but they didn't get into the details of lettering. And so that's why the judges are so important.
Texas barbecue is the best.
Well, I can't help it anymore because now the stupid gluten's and everything, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Gluten is everything.
My body betrayed me.
Now, I will say one thing. This is going to be hypocritical. I'm being hypocritical for 1 second.
Do it.
Because of popular demand, and I'm not in charge of this, I'm just kind of the voice right now trying to organize it. The popular sway was that we have at least one People's Choice Award that is popularity. Okay.
Maybe not. I mean, what about not necessarily popularity, but the people can nominate it and it still goes, like the top 5 or what, I don't know, goes. How would you choose from there? It should still go through the panel. Can the popular vote say, let's say Path doesn't get through from my publisher, but the people nominate it. You know what I mean?
Like that.
And it still go into a category, but for which, this is why I don't envy you at all. I'm like, how would that work? If someone nominates Path for, let's say, best writer, because that's what I do, right? Because we all know my lettering is crap. So, how would it go against the other ones? Would it?
Well,
so if we did popularity ones, it's just an interesting thing.
I sent a test run on my own contacts out to 50 or 75 people who are in the industry. And I said, who's the best storyline, the best writing indie comic that you've read in the last year? Everybody had different results. No one had the same results.
Right.
And so I couldn't even get an aggregate just from those 75 high level people. They all had different results. There was not even an aggregate I could do. So it ended up being that the People's Choice is really the only option I feel that can be popularity, because there's 3,000 books we're going through in the indie market of 2023. I mean, how do you get the best by a people's vote? It's hard to say. I don't know.
The way Beam did it was nice. It was favorite, your favorite indie comic instead of like a popular thing. But that was different. I mean, it was other people submitted. They sent out a submission form.
Mm-hmm.
And then anyone could send that submission form to anyone and say, fill out, who you think goes here. It wasn't a choice yet. It was just who would you submit for this?
Right.
And SK submitted me.
Right.
So when I got, I guess enough people submitted me that I was included, and then those get voted on.
Right.
So
what if you did something like open submission for popularity between these certain dates, and like, let's say the top 5, you pull, let's say, a 4-page preview. And so when the awards go live, like, hey, these were the most popular, look at these 4 preview pages of these 5, and then you can vote for these 5. Because if there's someone on there that I've never heard of, I can't necessarily vote for them because I've never read their work.
Right.
But we can if we had like a sample, for these 5, it's like, here's these 4 pages that you can look at and kind of get an opinion about what's going on, and then vote from there. That might be something.
If we believed as a group that we're going to have 1,000 people actually read the pages and actually put a good faith effort into voting like that, I'm finding, and this is unfortunate, I'm finding that I'm sending these, 3-paragraph, these are the Heroic Awards rules. This is how you submit. This is your own folder you submit to. I'm sending this out to these people, and they aren't even reading the post that I'm sending them. I mean, they're not even getting to that 3-paragraph. They read the last line and they respond without even having read the rules. And I'm not saying this is indicative of the whole group. I'm just saying, when we require people randomly online to respond to a Facebook post or a message that they have to read a lot into, it's not going to get done. That's I agree. I'm feeling negative about that. I'm sorry about that.
This is the TikTok generation, and I agree with you. People want 30 seconds or less.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's another reason why People's Choice is really the only one that I felt comfortable in being okay with the people voting. They should vote, but I don't think they should vote for best writer because they don't even reading the books. They're not reading the books. I wish they would read all the books, but I have 200 books that we have in this awards ceremony. And I would ask you, Laurie, how many independent comic books have you read this year?
Right. I don't know, probably 20.
And you've read way more than almost anybody else.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the game. I mean, when do the people's vote end up being just popularity and not a critique on the real skill? And I think
it's like people feel guilty though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this is, again, this plays into emotion. This is where I come from too. I feel guilty asking people to vote for me.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So if let's say out of those 20 comics, I have read Carissa's comic more than everybody else's because she releases more frequently. So she's my friend. Out of that list of 20, if you gave me if Carissa was on it, I would vote for her every time. So again, is that unbiased?
It's totally biased. And that's not bad. That's not bad. There's a place for that.
That's the popularity part of it, right?
I didn't feel like that place should be on best line art. I was talking to some artists over the last year, several. I'd say probably 15 or 20 different artists. And I would say, oh, this is good art, right? And they'd be like, no, for these technical reasons. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't even know that. I should have known. I'm hiring artists and I don't even know why this is good and not good. And so I'm not credible to be a judge of line art. And I don't think most people are. So bringing in people who are professional line artists and having them judge, I think that makes a difference.
Mm. But again, how do you decide who's credible?
Well, yeah.
It's just a never-ending question. So that's
Yep.
why I'm like, Rick, God bless you. But I was like, I'll watch from my seat and eat popcorn as it goes down. I'll be here on my podcast talking to creators.
We are going to post in a month. We're going to post the nominees for each award. And so I'll shoot a post out with all the, 16 covers of the best letterer award. And you have to scroll down. I'm not going to make this super, super easy for everybody to read. It's just going to be in one post, and you have to scroll down if you want. I'll make sure it's publicized. But again, this is all volunteer work, and we're spending our time on it. So if it's not beautiful the first year, that's okay.
Right.
But we'll put all those letterer nominees, all the best writer nominees, all the, et cetera. And we'll also then say, and these are the judges for best letterer. And these are the judges for best writer. And so everyone will know everybody. There's nobody being secret here. Any
Right.
How do you judge how good a story is when you're only reading like issue 7?
Well, that's part of the problem. We can't ask the judges to read the whole storyline of a graphic novel for one entry. It's just too much requirement. And so we say we're going to do it per issue. Now, this is a problem. What if your story is over a 3 arc, like Laurie's writing with Psycho Sal? All I can say is choose the one that you think is written the best. Now, does that mean that the story has to have the climax in that story? Well, it doesn't. Maybe you're most proud as a publisher. Maybe you're most proud of your vernacular, or your end of page cliffhanger, or your progression of character development. Whatever you're most proud of in your writing, submit that issue. And the judges will have their criteria to follow. And it's not, did I enjoy this one the best? It's not, did the cliffhanger leave me wanting more, like then they win. There's a whole criteria there that breaks it down. And I hope that helps to get writing, for instance, more fair. Not convincing.
We're both like trying to process all the words that just came out of your mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, a one shot is going to have a better chance at getting a better story or writing because they have this one story. But you go in to read mine. My one issue is, the last issue of the series 1 or book 1. It's 44 pages that they won't understand reading it because it literally answers all the questions of the rest of the series.
Well, maybe.
But if they're looking at it, we're overall story. But if you're entering it into like best line work or best, you know what I mean, then it's going to be looked at completely differently.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Because they're not really going to be focused on the story. They're looking at
2 categories. So wouldn't you put it in best writing and best art? Because
like you said, probably the one shots will have a better chance of seeing an overall arc. No, not necessarily. Certain issues of mine I think stand out. Like I've always talked about issue number 7. So if we had 7 done it, and let's say I had all 1 through 12 done at Path of the Pale Rider, I would submit 7 for story wise because I think the one stands out.
I think also one of the problems that we're running to for Heroic Awards is exactly what all 3 of us are talking about. All 3 of us are writers. None of us 3 are artists. And if we're sitting here talking about which one we're going to submit for best writer, we're thinking about it from our perspective. One of the hopes of having publishers submit is the publisher may or may not be the writer. They may be like with William, he's the cover artist. He's not even the writer or interior writer, drawer. And so one of the benefits that Heroic Awards can succeed at, hopefully, is the publisher will know what the strengths of each book is, not just what their strengths are for their thing. But you're right. Most submissions have best writer or best cover. One of those 2 is on almost every submission of the 2. So those are going to be heavy categories, is best cover and best writer. People aren't thinking, deeper. In my opinion, they should be thinking, hey, I want to submit for best colorist because my colorist is the best. And we haven't seen as much of that as we have the other 2 categories.
See, I would for 8, but I can't for book 1 because coloring was not his forte. He did an amazing job, but it's not his strong point. So I wouldn't put for coloring for my artist, but my artist did amazing line art or whatever, or overall art. I don't even know. Like, I like the overall art, but I think his line art is whatever. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely put Matt up for I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
You should see the stuff oh man. When you guys see Path number 4, Matt Chambers should be nominated. But again, that won't be until next year. But just amazing stuff that I can't share yet.
Right.
That's some great work.
And
love you, Matt.
And we're gonna see how it goes. I am definitely not claiming perfection. The community will deem what it will. If the community likes it, if there's a lot of interaction, if the people say, hey, this was well worth it, we're going to submit for next year, it'll keep going. If we bomb and it ends up falling apart, then I failed.
but at least you tried. And I mean, I think your heart's at least in the right place where you're trying to promote indie and you're trying to do it the right way, and you're taking a lot of feedback, how can we do better and what can we do differently? So again, I hope you find your place and that you succeed. I really do, because again, if it helps the community, it helps us all.
Right.
That would be great.
I think if we have just one takeaway from Heroic Awards, if there's only one takeaway, it would be more people found out more books that were out there that they never had heard of before. And this is one of the benefits that I think Heroic Awards has over other award categories that are out there, is when those other categories are out there, you see that there was 6 or 8 people that are comic books that you can vote for instance. We have 200. We have hundreds of books. And if we just can have all those visible to people and then spotlight the ones that stand out in their category, I think we're getting visually, like the words, the names, the people, and the visual art out there in large number. That's my hope. When you scroll down through our Facebook page, you're seeing every day a post of a different book. And I'm hoping that people who do that, they're like, whoa, I didn't know that was even a book out there. I might look into that. And that's one of my, if that can be met, I would feel like this was a massive success.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's just to bring light to one book, you know what I mean? It's worth it. That's why I love this show, is that I bring in creators from all walks of life. And I give people, a place to talk about what they're working on and kind of pay it forward. When I started as an indie creator and like brand spanking new, I went on probably like 30 shows for my issue 1. And I felt, so grateful to be given a platform to talk about what I was doing to bring people along. And I was like, how cool is it when I was offered the chance to take over this show? Thank you to Pops Van Zandt, who was like, hey, do you want to host a show? Because I feel so, it's like it's evening the karma scales. You know what I mean? Where I get out a lot and I'm on other people's shows a lot, but I also give a spot for other people to come on and give them a spot to shine too. So that's why I really enjoy that. And so I think, Heroic Awards would be kind of like-minded to just give a spot where more indie can be seen. And even if it's just one award that someone is nominated for, it kind of gives them a little bit of light.
Right. Yeah. And, I hope as well that, because like I said, when I got into comics, I got into it because I wanted to follow the best storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what really got me into reading these books. And if our best writer, we have let's say we have 7 or 10 nominees and we push that out, I would, if I were people, I would look at books, because those are the ones that have been set aside as the best of hundreds of books. These are the ones with the best writing. Or if I was an artist and I wanted to get some skill, I would hunt the ones down that said best line art, and I would buy those 5 books so I could see how I can improve. That's also a net gain for this award program.
I wonder if there's a way that you could market that too. Just, I know you're working on a website.
Yeah.
If link it to where people can download or purchase the ones that win awards or nominate or whatever.
Yeah,
that would be interesting as a marketing, ploy.
Yeah, I really want to do that, where we can do, like I mentioned, the rack in the comic shop that has Heroic Award winners, or the website that pushes them, and then they make a sale. It's so tough in that industry then, because now we have to deal with royalties and all the money side, and I'm just not equipped to do that yet. I haven't gone toward the for-profit, whatever side. I'm not there yet.
Rick, this is the big piece of whatever you bit off. It's quite big, and it can grow to be giant. So
well, if the Heroic Awards does well this year, we're going to do all of that. If we do well and we show a following and we show a lot of interaction and we're getting lots and lots of feedback and positive acclaim, and we're on podcasts and people are talking about it, then we'll definitely move that direction, because once we get awareness to these comics, it makes it easy for the person who came to Heroic Awards and said, "Oh, I liked that book," to just click and buy it. And then I can throw some cash back to the publisher, and now everybody's winning. And that makes sense. But that's going to be future technology development. That's not yet today.
Gotcha. Well, goals, future goals, right?
Yeah.
So then your goals for 2024 are, let's wrap up the show with saying, like, what are you guys already heard my goals. I want to hear Rick's goals. Carissa, we already talked about all the things that you're launching, but if there's any other goals, let's talk about it. What's your goals for this year for Heroic and for Orphan Bloodline?
Yeah, so I really want C2E2 to be, our carrier, and I want it to be the Midwest's award ceremony, because Ringo is, I think, on the East Coast, and Eisner's in San Diego Comic-Con. So there really was a hole, I felt, in the middle of the country that could use a great awards program. So I hope this can be that year after year. So that's one goal for sure. On Orphan Bloodline, I want to produce more books. 3 is finishing up art right now. I want to do at least 4 and 5 as well this year. And I think that I'll be able to, but that's now we're getting into a lot of production, and but I hope that's possible. And then on a personal note, my wife and I hopefully will get pregnant this year. That's our goal.
Oh my God. Yay. That would be exciting. Sorry. When it came to babies, I was like way more excited than all the comic stuff. I'm like, babies.
Yeah. So she's very excited about it. I'm very excited about it. We've never been in a place where we both felt like it was the right move for our family until about a few months ago. And now we feel like this is the right time for us. And it's really odd how that came together. Like I didn't think it was going to match up, but we're really on par right now. And hopefully we can get pregnant this year.
Well, I hope so too. I want everybody else to have babies. I'm done with the babies. No more babies. This shop is closed.
Yeah, I've been done. So
yeah.
Right. So it's like, good. I can hold the baby, take pictures, give the baby back, give the baby back. I like to sleep.
Right.
Well, God bless you on that, and I really hope you're successful and that all of your goals come to fruition in 2024. Carissa, you got any last parting words about what your goals are for 2024? Come on, Tuesday morning brew more.
Yeah, I'm down to be on it more. I'm here to co-host 2 times a month, or be on the show 2 times a month. I don't know how Laurie puts up with me that much, but
we have a blast
that she does. I would like to. Mine always revolves around this. I want to finish the rest of the scripts. Not all 90, but I want to finish series 3. We finished the first 2 series in 2 years, so we could probably get another one done.
So we'll do another 4 hardcovers.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, my goal is to do a hardcover every year, but book 3 has like 12 issues, and book 4 and 5 are like 15 issues each. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm definitely looking to get the hardcover. The next book 2 will be out October. So yeah, Halloween.
I don't know how either of you do what you do. I'm in awe of both of you. I'm still on issue 4.
Well, you know what though? Yours are awesome. So
well, you're also doing, like I said earlier, you're doing Psycho Sal.
You still, well, yeah, that's true. But still, it's like you kind of have to walk your own path, and everybody walks their own, and be proud of what you do. No matter, it's like if you're doing what you set out for yourself, that's all that matters. You can still watch people and learn and strive, but again, I'm never going to be Carissa Grant and all her greatness. I'm never going to be.
Aren't you lucky? Yeah.
So I am Laurie Calcaterra. I do Path of the Pale Rider at our pace, and that's all I can control. That's what I do. So
yeah. And you can search for me on Kickstarter, Worthy Chaos. I'm always free launch or
she's
live.
always on there. There's always something
always
popping
on there. And I give up on links. Just search Worthy Chaos, and that's all you need. I'm the only thing that pops up. So, but like 9 pop up. So sorry.
That's true. Make sure you're looking at the right one.
Yeah,
that's the funny part. Rick, where can people find you on social media?
So Rick Duree, Facebook, Heroic Awards, Facebook, Orphan Bloodline, Facebook. I stay on Facebook primarily. I found that that's the best communication network for the comic industry. I think it's better than Twitter, and it's part of Instagram already. Facebook is, so you get both of those. But I do like Twitter as well. But I think that Facebook's where it's at, so that's where I'm at.
Gotcha. Cool, everybody. You can follow Rick's journey there for both his comic. We are all listed on chartercomics.com, so you can come check us out there. And of course, remember to follow the Tuesday Morning Brew. If you haven't liked this bad boy yet, go ahead and click that like, heart, whatever you choose. And then join us next week for another guest. Everybody wave at the camera and say goodbye. Kiss your babies. Be excellent to each other. And we'll see you all next week.
There is a creature in the swamps. It lives to destroy. The beast they call Hogzilla.
After his latest get-rich scheme goes sideways, Gary Duba, the quintessential Florida man, ends up with a stash of somebody's high-end memorabilia. His gal Crystal is on probation and preparing for the fight of her life, squaring off against Australia's Queen of Combat. Delilah's got her back in training, staying off rich foods and the nose candy. Meanwhile, Gary and his best friend Floyd have been hired to wrangle a massive, abnormally aggressive feral hog that's terrorizing the swamp and wrecking Gary's old neighborhood. Can they bag the elusive monster swine without destroying the Sunshine State? Reserve your copy of Florida Man vs. Hogzilla at FloridaManComics.com. We're bringing back funny books, y'all.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit